We are live, and we are. Seems like we were just here, Tammy, not very long ago. But as we all know, the time and the news is changing quickly, and unfortunately, you cannot get honest news of where everything is and where they stand or actions we should take from the mainstream media. You also can't get it from a lot of social media sources. So we're here live on our YouTube channel. We want you to share this with everybody in there. Last night, we had a record number of live viewers on our YouTube channel. We hope to be going live from our locals in a very short period of time. But for now, we're here live, and we have another special guest today, Senator Lana Theis. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me on. The first thing I want to do is commend you. Stand Up Michigan has done extraordinary things that have not been done previously in Michigan's history, and I'm unaware of any other state where it's been done. To the level of engagement that you've been able to create, the tidal wave of people who are starting to begin to understand what the purpose is of government, what the role is of government, and how they can interact with government. And I got started as an activist, and when my township passed a tree ordinance, that was going to cost me $40,000 before I could start adding on to my house. So fighting that is what got me into politics, and I just completely understand where you are coming from and where your members are coming from, and I just want to say hats off. Doing a great job. Keep it up.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, actually, because we get a lot of the same kind of emails that you do. So hearing the support and the thank you and the encouragement is great. And we are very, very happy for senators like you and legislators like you who have agreed to partner with us to utilize this platform to get the word out there, to get the message out there, the truth, the accurate information. And that's what's missing today, because we know that the media will not give you guys a voice. And then the information that they do put out, we were talking with Senator Barrett last night, the information they do put out is 100% wrong. It's a total lie. So
you're seeing it nationally. It's not just the state. It's amazing. It's like they all have their marching orders.
They do indeed. They do indeed. And you know, with what you mentioned about our organization, it's a good news, bad news situation. The bad news is we've actually formed because of all of the tyrannical things that have happened, and now the censorship that's transpired and the anger that continues to be is what feeds the grassroots. The great news is that it has awakened a large number of people who haven't participated in the process, haven't paid attention to our slow loss of freedom. And now what they've done is they have found a voice collectively, not just through Stand Up Michigan, but even in their own communities and neighborhoods. And we're so thankful for that. And now they've gotten out to vote in gigantic numbers. And so let's pivot directly to part of the reason we have you here is let's talk first about the letter for those of you that were not here with Tom last night, the letter that you have sent to the Secretary of State with Tom, and then we're going to get to the online petition. But go ahead and explain that to us a little bit more.
Well, Proposal 3, which was enacted in 2018, gave any registered voter in Michigan the ability to request an audit. And given that power, I thought, what better than the legislature to make the ask? We're registered voters too, and get the letter out there. We have a megaphone if we try, and sometimes we can get it. And in this situation, we did, and specifically ask for an audit prior to certification, because it is an essential thing that we are able to trust our elections, that the outcome of our elections are fair and accurate and transparent. And with the literally hundreds of pages of affidavits claiming malfeasance, claiming abuse, claiming fraud, claiming irregularities, all of that should be checked out. And honestly, regardless of where you sit, regardless of what the outcome is, you should want this to be fair and transparent. Our representative republic requires that we have a peaceful transfer of power when power is supposed to be transferred, and we can only do that if we can rely on the election process. And right now, with the outcry that you're saying, it is safe to assume, and I can tell you from the thousands of emails I've gotten, that people don't believe that that was fair, accurate, and transparent. And so to the extent that anything happened that should be addressed and investigated, we most certainly ought to do that prior to certification. And that's what our letter asks.
Well, I think one of the most important things that we have been able to do on our platform is to identify the patriots that are within the House and the Senate members, like you and Senator Barrett, and we've got obviously many more that are willing to stand up for the people. As you know, there are too many that are silent. Now, I think part of that is out of ignorance. Part of it is out of being uninformed. A lot of them do depend on their staff and others to basically tell them what to do, or their caucus potentially. But I think our leadership, who has said, and I've talked to Speaker Chatfield and obviously to Senator Shirkey, and the issue really has been is they for so long did not have a platform. They would show up and call a press conference and no one would come. The media doesn't show up. They would do it live and nobody would watch. They just didn't have a way to reach the people. And I think in some ways they kind of gave up trying, because it was beating their heads against the wall over and over again. And so I think what we've been able to do here is jump on these changes and be able to give a quick platform. Now, we can't make the people react. So all of you that are out there, we need you to share this video across all of your platforms. We know you have Facebook, you have Parler, you have MeWe, you have Locals. You have other ways for you to email a copy of this video, text a link to the video, and let everyone see it so that they understand that there are both large groups of people standing up, and there also are leadership in the Senate and the House who are also standing up for you. So let's move to what you did after that. You did this letter on behalf of you as citizens, but now you've also created an online ability for us to sign, and explain to us what that says and what you'd like us to do.
So it is basically a copy of the letter that we sent as legislators. But again, the power is not with the legislation here. The power is not with the legislators. It exists in the registered voters of Michigan. So the website is ensurefairelections.com, ensure with an E. If you find that you can't sign up that way, you can go to ensurefairelections@gmail.com and email us the same information. So we'll need your name and your zip code on that. Please understand that we're doing the best we possibly can to keep up with all of it. It is not an easy thing to do. We don't have millions and millions of dollars to ensure the strongest servers that can take the load. So if you're trying to fill it in, don't use autofill. Put in your own name, hand type the whole thing, and then hit send. And if it doesn't go, try again or use that email. So we need your name, your zip code, and then your email address, which should come through on it. But if you put that in the body, it'll be easier, and we'll make sure that you are entered on the list too. And that is going to go to our Secretary of State and to the Board of Canvassers so that they know that the people of Michigan are also making the request. It's not just the legislators. And by the way, I didn't ask all of the legislators to come on board with the letter. If you spend time trying to get everybody to get in the same place with wording, with whatever, that takes forever. We didn't have that kind of time. So we wrote the letter. I specifically reached out to Senator Barrett, and then we sent it. And there are many legislators that have gotten a hold of me since who would have been on that. So please don't knock them for not having been on that. They weren't given the opportunity.
And it is scrolling on the bottom of the screen here, the email address for you to go to. We also, on social media platforms, have created a link directly, and we've been sharing that link. We have it posted in our locals. Again, standupmichigan.locals.com. You'll see a free 12-month for you to join. That is full Stand Up Michigan social community. We're going to be going live from there shortly. Also, as soon as we can get, it'll be the first platform of its kind like that, and they're going to be utilizing us to be able to do the testing for the live broadcasting. So it's going to be exciting when that happens. But in the meantime, this is a great place for you to go. And Tammy, what do you have to add, or what have you been hearing? I know you've been watching comments too.
It's been a late night and I've been watching comments here. The frustration level is very high. And that's why, guys, we're giving you a call to action. When we come on and give you a call to action, this is something that you can do. And you do have the support of your legislature. They did put the time and effort, and this is why I so commend Senator Theis and Senator Barrett for putting the time and the effort into drafting this letter, because this is how we get this audit started. We do have the right to request and demand this. We started it in the legislature. I was actually watching Newsmax. I sent you a text about that, Lana. I was watching Newsmax and I saw Senator Theis' letter pop up on the screen, and they were talking about how the Michigan legislature is standing up and demanding a full and transparent audit of this election. Now,
She froze.
Ron, there's a website I see scrolling, but I don't see the email there. In case you get hung up on that website, you could go to the email that Senator Theis recommended, because I know there were a lot of comments that came in. People have said, I signed it last night, and then a lot of people said, I couldn't get through, I want to get it. So if we have both ways for you to sign up, and again, like Senator Theis said, if you don't get through, don't give up, because we need all of your voices. We need everyone to sign. So just keep trying. We've got the website up there. We'll get the email address that you can go to the email as well, and then share this with everyone. I saw in one of the comments, I sent this to my son's school. I'm trying to keep an eye on some of these comments for questions while we have Senator Theis with us. But that's great. That's what we need to do. We need to be sharing this with everyone, getting the word out there. When we do a call to action, we know that very quickly we end up getting hundreds of thousands of people mobilized because we ask you to share and keep sharing. And do the things that we're asking you to do. And it does make a difference. So we were successful with our loud voices getting that 1945 petition initiative done. We were successful. And don't think it didn't make a difference, guys, because we were also successful in holding the House. We mobilized you. We gave you calls to action to put up the yard signs, to go knock on doors in those critical districts where we needed to hold those seats. And we did it. You accomplished that. So now we know that we'll have the votes to repeal it. So we were successful with that. You were successful with that. So now when we give you these types of calls to actions, you know, this governor, I'll be really honest with you, she is
Yes, she is. She froze again.
incredibly punitive. She's incredibly non-collaborative. She won't even step foot on the Senate floor. I mean, talk about uncollaborative. She's not interested in working with the legislature at all. It is her way or the highway, period. That's her MO. That's how she operates. So it is critically important, as she has just pivoted. She's basically thumbed her nose at the Supreme Court, and she's just pivoted, and she's just using other agencies to do her dirty work. So now, because of that, I don't want you to get tired and weary in well-doing, because what we have done has been very effective and important. But because we have such an aggressively punitive and uncollaborative governor, now we've got to go pivot over here, and we've got to deal with what she's doing over here, because that didn't stop her. So it's not like you were not successful. It's not like we were not successful. It's just we're all exhausted trying to keep up with her. So this is going to make a difference, but we need you to do it. And this is why I do want to address yesterday the call to action we put out last night, because we've got to keep this going and fight on behalf of the restaurants, on
By the way, she
behalf
had
of the schools and
power
the gyms
issues.
and the movie theaters and all of it. I'm having power issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, okay. We've got to stop. We've got to stand up. We've got to resist this. And so, Ron, if I'm having some computer issues, maybe you can take it from here and you can explain.
It's just freezing now and then, but they're just,
Okay.
so all of you know, there's a lot of power outages down in their area.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my brother is not very far away, hasn't had power to the middle of the night. So I think that the Wi-Fi and the streams is obviously having some issues, but we're still getting the message through. I think that the main thing we have with the governor, she was punitive long before anything happened. She was punitive before, even though she knew she was illegal. Adding the 21 days, the 28 days that she claimed her powers was all illegal, and the media carried her water and her narrative for her. The Supreme Court then came down back at 6-1 and literally slapped her. And you know what? Didn't change anything with this person. And now we had an election. She believes she has the results of the election. Last night, she basically said, the president's packing up his bags and leaving Washington. And when he does, the best thing he can do is send money to Michigan. We need some more bailouts, right? That's going to save our businesses. If you believe government is the solution, we're all in trouble. The solution is we, the people. It is got to be, we provide the solution, not the government. And again, they are trying to get us broken down to the point. Look, when you have somebody like Trudeau this morning, I saw it on Louder with Crowder, saying that this is a great opportunity to reset. That's what he's saying. Literally, they're believing we can reset the world, destroy America, destroy all that it is, and make them on an equal playing field, and we can utilize the pandemic to do it. It's exactly where they are. I'm sorry, but that's where we are in this state right now. And with what has been said from this governor, she, by the way, for those of you who didn't listen last night, one of her first comments, and I want you to remember this so you can repeat it to other people. She said, first thing is that she's wearing her mask. The most important single thing we can all do is cover our faces and wear masks, right? She then followed up with, in March and early April, we crushed the curve. We took care of things. Okay, so let's remember, people, we were not wearing masks when we did that. No one was wearing a mask in late March and early April. When we crushed the curve, yes.
If we crushed the curve, then why did it last 6 months?
That's a very, very good question.
Exactly.
Very good question.
It was 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
That's
Right.
right.
Remember.
And that's why, that's why I'm very concerned right now, because do not think, people, that she has any intention of just shutting you down for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
She is doing the same thing all over again, just with a different agency and different agencies. This is going to go on and on. What did she say last night? We have several months ahead of us that are going to be very difficult. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
So I want to make a couple of points, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
The first one, I believe Senator Barrett spoke to yesterday. The current closure time frame bumps right up against the time frame for certification for our electors, which even though the DHS order specifically says it's not supposed to interfere with elections, I'm not quite sure how it doesn't. And I want to mention that the order also references the dissent on the Michigan Supreme Court decision. Well, the dissent is not not enforceable. It's merely an opinion, but it's the dissent. But that's the dissent that will be in the majority starting January 1. So just cautioning everybody, the legislature is limited by the law. We are acting within the full extent of the law that we possibly can to act and respond. And Senator Barrett spoke yesterday that there are numerous court cases out there, but the legislature doesn't automatically have standing in any of them. And armed parties have standing. So we have to ask permission to be a part of these cases as they come forward. And we're not always given that permission. So I just want people to understand where the limitations exist.
And I'll tell you where the limitations don't exist, people. They don't exist, and we cannot wait for the legislature to fix this problem any more than we wait for the rest of the government to fix this problem. It is time for us to stand up and claim our constitutional rights and freedoms. Look, no law can be made that supersedes those. And we keep talking about it and talking about it. But if you pay attention to mainstream media, and if you pay attention to those around you who are fearful, and I understand some people are fearful, and that's okay. I mean, it's not okay for us to be fearful. We shouldn't be. Not of this virus. But when it comes to your individual rights and liberties and freedoms, we have to stand up despite our government, not because of them. We can't wait for them to give us an okay. That was never meant to be. They're there to support us. They're not there to create mandates on us. And it is time. Look, go back and listen to Tammy's yesterday. She read directly from Declaration of Independence. It is time for us to stand up to our government, or it's going to be too late. If you wait till January and this power does change and our economy is destroyed and the government is supporting our economy, we're going to be in a whole lot worse situation than we are today between now and Wednesday when we have a decision to make. Right, Tammy?
Yeah. And I would encourage all of the business owners out there. I know I've been messaging Tommy Brand. I've been encouraging him to get with the Restaurant Association, the Michigan Restaurant Association. They need to stand up on behalf of their members who are paying dues for such reasons as this. When things like this happen, they had better get involved quickly, file lawsuits on their behalf against the governor, against the Department of Health and Human Services. This is what we're calling for. Restaurant owners, you need to link arms, you need to band together and collectively simply refuse to shut down. I have said it from stage many times, and I won't stop, because she can't control us if we all stand up. There is strength in power and strength in numbers, in unity. So we have got to band together and just collectively say, no, this is illegal. You know, that's why I got involved in Stand Up Michigan to begin with, because I was so ticked at some governor telling me that I had to shut my business down when I have a legal right to operate my business. And that's called commerce. I have the right to engage in commerce because I've done so legally with a proper licensure. And I have a right to feed my family, to earn a living, to pay my employees. Just because there's a virus in town does not mean the governor has the right to tell me I have to sit at home and collect a paycheck for doing nothing and lose my employees, lose the ability to bring in an income. That's unconstitutional. That's why I stood up in the first place and got involved with Stand Up Michigan. I flat out refused to shut my business down. I have yet to shut my business down. So what are we waiting for? In addition, business owners, you now have a legal case precedent in the state of Michigan with Carl the Barber. He did the same thing that I did. He said, no, I refuse. I refuse to shut down. You do not have the right to tell me I cannot operate my business.
There we go again.
And earn a living. That is simply unconstitutional. And he came after him and weaponized her attorney general and all kinds of agencies against him. But you know what? Threatened to take his license. He won. He won. She can't take away his license. That has to come through the state licensing boards. And he won those cases. So now we have legal case precedent. So what are we waiting for? What are we afraid of? You know, here's the thing. The restaurant owners, the gyms, if you guys have to shut down again, we know it's not just going to be for 3 weeks. She's going to keep extending it. We know because that's her playbook. And are you going to survive? Most likely not. So what have you got to lose? You might as well stand up and fight if you think you're going to go down one way or the other. And you have us behind you. You have us beside you. You have the legislature on your side. They filed for impeachment today. Lana, do you want to talk about that a little bit? I know that's a House situation, but you probably have a lot more inside information on that. And people are asking about that in the comments.
So it is important to understand the impeachment process according to our state constitution, and that speaks to the reasoning for the delay as well. So the impeachment has to be initiated out of the House. It cannot be initiated out of the Senate. It's out of the House, and then it's a resolution and then a simple majority vote with respect to that. But the process is described in our state constitution very clearly. It can't, the hearings do not start until after, and it says immediately after, but nobody's defined immediately, after sine die. So after we end this session year, and only after then we end this session year, does that even begin to start. So it was important to know whether or not the House was going to be a Republican House or a Democrat House. Yes. Moving forward with respect to that. The judge in these hearings is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, who is a Democrat nominee. So that's also important to understand. Once the simple majority happens out of the House, once sine die happens, and then the hearings start, it's prosecuted. The prosecutors are members of the House. So that would be held in the Senate. But what happens after that is where we get the real problem. And Senator Barrett spoke to this. It takes a supermajority out of the Senate in order for that to be completed and for her to fully be impeached. So given that we can't get a supermajority on a vote to protect a whistleblower that they had just voted on, and then the governor vetoed it, and it comes back to them, and now they vote no on the bill they voted yes on, I'm very doubtful that we would have Democrat support of that particular scenario. And once the impeachment has the supermajority, or is voted on by the House, that doesn't change the governor's actions in any way at all. It doesn't limit her power. And you've spoken to how punitive she can be when she's not happy with the outcome of something. So understand that it puts the House in a very difficult position, and then the Senate in a difficult position. We are recognizing that she has acted far outside of what is allowable, as evidenced by the Supreme Court decision. But that said, whether or not we'll be able to fully act on this is something else altogether. I just think the discussion ought to happen.
Look, and whether we have the votes or not in the Senate, think of what they did to Donald Trump. And by the way, the House didn't care, but what they did is they brought him in. They were able to bring in others and put them under testimony. We have issues right now that need to be exposed in this state. Mm-hmm. Going back to your bills that you passed demanding the science and the data, we need to bring in the health and the hospital association and get them on record that says the governor mandated that only the data be turned over to her and not be shared with we the people during that original shutdown. Those are things that need to be done. The decision to put people into nursing homes needs to be exposed. We need to destroy this individual and the decision that she made and did to the state of Michigan, regardless, because that will be covered in media. It'll be covered by national media like we've never seen. We will finally have a platform to call them in and be able to ask those questions, get those documents. By the way, deciding on her own that we're not going to allow any FOIA for months on any department in the state of Michigan, those are all things. How about just going against the Supreme Court's decision in the state of Michigan, going against federal courts? How about the decisions that she made, which we can go on and on and on. But what she has done to us individually and the decisions that she's made, the illegal decisions she's made in a lot of ways, really have got to be brought to the forefront for the people of Michigan going forward, so that she understands that a lot of the things she said were simply not true. The decisions she made, the laws that she acted on, and we now found that all these businesses were destroyed. We need to bring a few of those in to say, you acted unilaterally, you acted against the law, even after the law was broken, this 21-day thing. These things destroyed more individual lives and businesses, and you refuse to even acknowledge it. And I think that is the reason we do the impeachment. It isn't whether we impeach her in the end, it's that we destroy the career and we destroy the platform and the ability for people to believe, because the media is continuing to perpetuate this 60% popularity rate. It just simply isn't true. And if it is true, it's only because they have not heard the truth. It's our job to expose the truth, and I believe we can have that done.
I agree with you that there absolutely needs to be transparency. I'm 100% with you on that. Understand that there are committee hearings going on right now. There's a bipartisan committee that was created just to review the COVID issues, but they do have the ability to request this information. The oversight committee that I sit on has the ability to subpoena things like the Secretary of State to get the information. But to your point previously, it's mysteriously, it never makes the news. Unless we subpoena something, in which case then the news is busy saying that we had no right to do that and it hasn't been done and it's unheard of. Well, we'd actually been asking for those documents for months.
Well, let me tell you this. I have enough connections, we have enough connections at a national level that if you bring impeachment proceedings against this governor, the most tyrannical governor outside of maybe New York and California, if that is done, that will be covered on a nationwide basis like you can't imagine, on a daily basis, on radio, on television, because people know that this is purely an example of the Democratic-led states and what they did during this lockdown and pandemic in New York, in California, in Illinois, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania. These were states that locked us down at a level that was so far superior than other states did. It was planned, coordinated, and I think the people need to hear. They need to be free of it, and they need our people to speak up for us, and I can promise you that will happen. It isn't going to be always that we get the end result, but it will change the minds and the hearts of people and give them strength and confidence that we're doing what we need to do for them.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, people don't care so much the outcome as they do that the legislature does their job and they stand up and they fight and they expose her. She needs to be held accountable. So the outcome we can't necessarily control, but the fact that we're going to hold her accountable and we're going to do everything that we can do is really what is the most important thing here. Because like Ron said, as we start to hear it come out, it then can be investigated and we can start to begin to follow through the processes and hold her accountable. And it will get out on the national media if you guys, follow through with the impeachment process. So I'm very, very glad to see that the legislature has started this process, and the people are very glad. We're hearing all kinds of comments. They're very excited. Like I said, whether or not she ends up being impeached is really not the point. The point is we hold her accountable.
I have letters on both sides of that fence. I represent one fairly conservative district and one fairly liberal district, and I have people who fully support and people who fully don't. I'm doing my best to accurately represent the law, to make sure that what we are doing is holding people accountable to the law and holding people accountable to the state and federal constitution. The federal constitution specifies that our state is supposed to be a representative republic. It says that specifically, that we're supposed to be a republic. That requires the the governor to have her position, but also for the legislature to have its position and the judicial area to have its. So we all need to be able to function. And unfortunately, this last year, that has been extraordinarily broken. So you're right. We do need to call that to light.
And what I would say to all of you, and in my 10 years as mayor of a small town, and in 25 years of working in economic development, I have always said that I don't represent the people who come and complain only every city council meeting, or the people who email me incessantly who have an opinion on one side or the other. I represent all. And so I always had to look at that in that capacity, and I understand that. But I also understand that it is our obligation to follow not only the law, but what is right. And that means whether we are reelected or we're not reelected, we have to stand up for the truth. And I don't believe that any Republican, if they understand, or Democrat, if they understand, because look, 72 out of 83 counties, 72 voted for President Trump, 72 voted for independence and individual rights and choices, or they would have voted for the lockdowns. The 60% popularity didn't turn out to be the case because they could have never prevailed in the House like we did. And in the areas we didn't fight because we were too afraid, we lost close elections. I believe if they had fought, they would have won. But they chose to say, yeah, I don't think we want to talk about unlock Michigan because our area, they should have, because I believe they actually didn't get the support they would have had they spoken up. And what I believe is that there will be adequate numbers of people in all of your districts that will stand up when we stand up, especially if we're exposing truth. There isn't anyone that can tell me that hiding data that was based on the emergency you created for the people and not telling us that the hospitals were emptying, that staff were being laid off. And here now, what are we hearing? It's a lack of staff is the problem. It isn't the lack of hospital beds or PPEs anymore. Well, that's because we laid them off because for 5 months, we didn't have anybody having elective surgeries. Who is the cause of the problem right now? It is not the pandemic, and it isn't lack of people in Michigan willing to work. It's a lack of the leadership that we had from the very beginning of this. We never managed it properly, and we have destroyed all kinds of other lives in the process. When those people are able to come forward and speak and have a platform, and when we talk about the things that were done here, I think that, again, the truth will come to light to a lot of those that have been fearful will be released, both by the data and the science being released, but also by the fact that you were trying to fight to simply get the transparency to say, does an emergency still exist anymore? We honestly don't know because we haven't seen the science and data. And she's going, I got it right over here, and I'll let you know and hear about it as I see fit. And that's exactly what happened. And
my degree is in biology and chemistry. I was pre-med, planning on going into pediatric oncology when I got waylaid to the area of politics. But to your point, I specifically requested very, very specific data, wanted the science, and it took a week. And what I ended up getting was tangential links to already public information. And I requested it as a state senator, requesting specific information, and was unable to get it. So no, the people aren't getting it either. And there was one other comment that I just wanted to make. When you hear everybody scared about how full our hospitals are, they normally operate between 90 and 95% capacity anyway. That's how they keep their doors open. That's what they aim for. The certificate of need requirements operate within that scenario. So there isn't a lot of extra room, that's true. But when they tell you that they're at 90% capacity, they're usually at 90% capacity. So it's, to your point, getting the actual facts out so that people understand what they need to be concerned about and what they don't need to be concerned about, and how to be safe, and where to, how to operate in this world, right? Everybody is scared. Everybody's concerned. I shouldn't say everybody's scared. Everybody is concerned and wants to operate in the safest way possible, but they also don't want the government telling them what they can and can't do with their lives. So that's the position I stand on too. I am sorry, I'm going to have to step out at this point. I've got some other commitments.
Well, we know you do, and we thank you so much. And the only last thing I'd like to ask you is, we know that there comes a time with this 1945 law and the Unlock Michigan petition that we have the votes to repeal that law and get rid of it so that she doesn't go back and try and act on it or operate on it with a different Supreme Court. We have adequate numbers of signatures, and we're going to need, as we get into the first part of the year, to demand that those signatures be verified so that we can get the votes and get rid of this law. And we may need to go to Lansing, and we may need to have tens of thousands of people show up potentially to demand this. And we're going to make sure and want to make sure that we're going to have Senate and House leadership that are going to stand up with us and demand those results as well.
My name is on the bottom of many of those petitions.
I appreciate it, Lana. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, Lana.
Just come back and talk to us when we get updates here in the near future, and let us know how many emails and how many people have signed on to that petition or letter as you get the updates. Please just let us know so we can inform the people.
We have thousands already, but I think the limitation is the capacity of the site rather than the people's efforts. So I would ask them, beg them to please ensureFairElections.com or ensureFairElections@gmail.com and email the information. We need your name, your zip code, your email address in order to add you to the list.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, Lana.
Thank you.
Lana, yeah. Lana, if you have anything more to, feel free to reach out to us. If you have anything to share, that's what we're here for.
Thank you. I very much appreciate your platform and your efforts.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Tammy,
All right.
I've got provider email. I want you people, again, please, if you would, if you haven't, go to standupmichigan.com and give us your email address. We're going to take these videos, the one from last night and from today, and put them in an email with some of the information and a link to a couple of things so that you can email the copies and links to both of these to people who may not necessarily subscribe on YouTube. So two things: subscribe on our YouTube channel, join our email so that we can stay in contact with you, because understand this source of information is very rare and it is hard for us to get this to you. And think of those that have no ability to access it right now. So if you're able to forward that email and say, please, you too, sign up for free 12 months on locals, please sign up to get an email so that we can stay in contact with them as we go forward. And what else did you have, Tammy?
Well, I just want to keep encouraging everybody that we only have another 48 hours now until this closure again hits. And it is critically important that we reach out to all the business owners, to all the restaurant owners, that you share this video, that you share the video we did last night as we introduced the new call to action to refuse to obey. It is critically important that we get everybody on the same page, because if they start closing their doors, guys, they're not going to be reopening. It's just too much. And many of the restaurant owners have already said that. So we need to collectively refuse to obey, come together with them and support them. It's a scary thing for them with, dealing with the state, dealing with licensures and liquor licenses, but we just need to encourage them to do it anyway.
Yeah. And I think, again, in talking to small business or talking to them,
what may, do it anyway. We're all here to.
Yeah, you just froze a little bit again. And we are all standing up together. But this 48 hours is critical, and we got to spread the word. I think last night's video and today's video, if you email that to every business owner you have and have them watch, they will realize not only are there hundreds of thousands of people who believe this, and probably millions more who just are simply distraught by what's happening, but I can promise you, with the words that she said of facing a dark winter, 2 and 3 tough months coming up, this 3-week period of time is to get the election over and have your attention drawn away from what has already transpired in the last couple of weeks. It is then going to draw out through Christmas into January, when they hope to take full power and control over every aspect of your life. I know that sounds scary, but that's not conspiracy. It's here, folks. It's happening right now. And unless you stand up and defend it, it's going to be gone as you understand it and know it and have experienced it in the past.
Yeah, this is her MO. She's already done this. She's just pivoted to using different agencies. So we can see the writing on the wall. We know exactly what's coming. So we've got to get ahead of this and stand up and refuse to shut down collectively.
Yes. And so we will be back in touch with you again, I am sure, either later today or tomorrow as data changes. As we get people to stand up, we want you to send us a message email us or go into our locals or on one of our pages and let us know that your businesses are standing up. We've even considered creating an area where we might be able to post those, which with locals we can, because guess what? It's not censored. So we may create an area to say, these are people that are standing up, because that's how everyone will stand up, is if others are doing it too. It starts in every community. It can't start at a statewide basis. It's got to start locally in your own community for people to say, I've had enough, and we're not going to follow these draconian decisions and rules and unilateral decisions that are being made by a health department against the law, and have it affect us in this manner and way. So it's 8 months is soon going to be 10 months. That's what we're staring at right now.
That's right. And we know that their overall plan is years. So this is not going to go away anytime soon if we don't stand up right now. And if not now, when? What's it going to take?
And if not you, who?
That's right.
That's the question. Those are the two questions you have to ask. Exactly who is it that's supposed to do it? Don't blame the legislators. They have nothing to do with your decision to remain open. They will defend the decision of you being open. They'll participate in those lawsuits, and they will bring her up on these impeachment proceedings and charges. Thank God we've actually added some additional House members that even have more strength than had before. We had some great patriots get elected in this election, and it happened nationwide, by the way. 30 states added House and Senate seats in statewide areas. We have over 30 legislatures that are now controlled by conservative-minded people. So there is hope, but it has to start with us, we the people. We cannot depend on the government to provide us this solution either.
That's right. The power is in our hands, guys. It's not in the power of the government. They're not going to save you. They're the problem. The power is in your hands. So if you're upset about this as a business owner, like I am, like Ron is, then keep your doors open, because there's strength in numbers. I don't know how much more we can say it. It's up to you now to fight. So thank you. I don't really have any more to contribute.
No.
I just want to encourage people. The power is in your hands. Do what you need to do. You've got so much more support than you realize in this community.
And we're calling on you again in this 48 hours. Please talk to, email and text those that you know, visit the local places, and let them know that others are standing up, because they are around the state. Give those people strength to say, I have nothing more to lose. Nothing
That's
more
right.
to lose. All right.
That's
Enjoy
right.
your day, everybody, as best you can. Spread the word and stand up. The great news is the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and many, many people, that's on our side. The truth is on our side. And I would just ask you to please join with us and stand up to these measures right now. And we will be back in touch with you soon. Pay attention and join ourlocals.com and our Stand Up Michigan YouTube channel. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone.